Hi everyone, welcome back to Farrand Film. As you can see, if you are watching on YouTube, we are doing another tier list today. I've been joined by Ollie once again after our mammoth Marvel tier list thing that finally ended this week. It just kind of kept going through summer, but then I thought because this is our last official day off of the summer holidays, why not do another one? So here we are.
Weirdly, as well, I imagine this one might be more contentious. Like the Marvel one was weirdly smooth. Obviously, there were some things we didn't agree on fully, but
Yeah.
like for the most part, it was pretty smooth sailing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I do think, like I said to you just then off podcast, like, are we having vetoes? And we've agreed that we're going to have 3 vetoes each.
Yeah.
I feel like these are going to be more of a come into account thing here.
Yeah, because I remember saying in the Marvel one that I had the advantage in that I don't care as much about Marvel films.
Yeah.
I like them, but for you, they are the pinnacle of cinema, and fine. And it's very much the other way around for this group of films. So I'm far more emotionally invested in some
It
of these
really is.
films.
Because I feel like as well, I think there are some that you probably think are lower down Pixar that I go, I actually really like that. And then clearly, as one that we've already discussed, there's one that you think is pinnacle Pixar. And I was a bit like,
I don't like, in terms of low downs, there's nothing I'd really fight tooth and nail for, I don't think. But
okay.
because that's the problem. Like in terms of consistency, Pixar are pretty damn good.
I've already thought about the ones that I think I want to fight for. In that I know which ones I want to put in a first, and if you don't want to go for it, I know which ones I'm vetoing. I'm interested to see if any end up in a fail, because just to kind of shoot everybody in.
One.
Okay.
I can think of one.
We mentioned last night, didn't we, about getting Holly in because Holly's a big Pixar fan. Holly at the minute is very heavily pregnant. She thought she was going to give birth on Sunday. That didn't happen. So she's just waiting and biding her time. So because she's unsure about what today brings, she's not coming on the podcast, but she has sent me her list of where she would put certain films.
So we go through it as we go through it, or do you want to wrap it up?
I think. No, I'll go through it as we go through it.
Okay.
For full sort of disclosure, she hasn't seen Cars 2, The Good Dinosaur, Cars 3, Onward, Soul, Turning Red, or Lightyear. I haven't seen any of the Cars films.
Right.
So the majority of them are on you. Yeah. I haven't seen Good Dinosaur, so that is on you. I haven't seen Onward.
Okay.
Oh, I haven't seen Brave actually. Yeah. Other than that, I'm
really
good.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was because it came out in the cinema at the time that I was working in the cinema, and there was kind of few and far between where I was like, I need to make sure that I go and watch that. But then when you see the end credits of a film 14 times a day, you're a bit like, I ain't bothered about that. Yeah. So we're gonna, as you can see on the screen if you're watching on YouTube, for whatever reason in alphabetical order ish. We're not going to do them in that order. We're going to do them in chronological order from when they were released. So we're going to start off in 1995 with the first Toy Story. Now, with this being the first film, I think straight away there's a bit of a nostalgia thing that goes, well, surely it's straight up in the top. I don't think it is.
I don't think it is.
I'm glad you agree with that.
We've said this a couple of times. I think it's the same with Iron Man, isn't it? It's the Beatles of this kind of franchise. It's fantastic at the time, very important, objectively great, but things have clearly come along later and improved on it.
Yeah.
Very, very clearly. I thought this was going to be my controversial one because honestly, even with 2-1, I'd have this quite low down in 2-1.
Okay.
I would like if you wanted to have it higher, if we're going to try and rank them all, which I've actually.
I think I'd go 2-1.
Yeah, I think 2-1's fair.
Holly's gone 2-1.
Oh, so unanimous. Nice.
Yeah. Because I suppose the interesting thing about it is, like you say, is that this is like the Beatles of the Pixar world.
Yeah.
But I think what happens now is you've got so many different generations of fans of Toy Story that I don't think anyone really says Toy Story 1. I think like the moments that they remember and the things that have happened are like an amalgamation of things from all the different ones that have happened.
Yeah.
I know which one I prefer.
Yes. Same.
We will get to that. Holly has definitely got one that she prefers. I know which one I don't like at all.
I think I know which one you don't like at all. But yeah.
I hope you agree. Okay. So Toy Story 1 is going 2-1.
Yeah.
Because it is good, and it set up the kind of Pixar world and it set up the franchise and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think it's
Fun fact for the YouTube viewers as well, because you can see the actual icon in there. And I thought I'd been fully Mandela affected because the VHS, because I had this on VHS, because I'm old enough to have had this on VHS, but the one I had also had Woody looking at the camera and smiling. And I remember seeing this cover of it once. And I remember the Toy Story I had was U-rated, and I thought this one was PG rated, so I thought it was like a slightly different version of the film.
I seem to remember a PG rated Toy Story.
Yeah, and I think literally the only reason, because that is probably the best like adult joke I've seen, because I remember not getting that for years. Like, do you remember at the meeting at the beginning where Slinky goes to bat for Woody and Mr. Potato Head takes his mouth off and starts putting it on his backside? It's like, wow, that's a really deep cut joke. like, wow, yeah, fair enough.
Is it this one or the second one where Bo Peep kisses Buzz and his wings expand?
That's the second one. She kisses him and his wings expand. They are separate events.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, his wings expand for Jesse doing the loop-de-loop on the car to open the door for the dog.
Oh, right, okay. Right, there's another Mandela effect then. Right, 1998, Bug's Life. Now, right, I'm very intrigued by this because Holly has it somewhere where I didn't think it would go. I'm trying to separate myself as much as possible from nostalgia because this was one of the first games that I had on my PlayStation.
Right, you really need to separate that because that's not fair, because the game for this is incredible. I
played the game so much. I remember the clips so vividly. I like the film. I think I am, like I say, mad by the nostalgia of the game. I don't think it's anywhere near a first.
No.
My gut reaction of a 2-1, I think, should come down a little bit.
Yes.
So then at that point, I'm 2-2.
I was even thinking third, because for
always
me,
put it as a third.
Yeah, because for me, like it, especially by Pixar standards, this is a really cliche story.
Okay.
It's literally got a liar reveal arc in it, Adam. Come on. Like,
right, okay.
Like it's hard to have any redeeming quality in the liar reveal. We know they're gonna mope around for about 10 minutes and then they're all gonna rally back together and like.
But do you not need to sort of, I don't know, like cut them a bit of slack because this is only number 2. This is only the second film that they've done.
No, I guess, sure, but it's just, and it's not the only problem I've got. I think Flick is profoundly unlikable.
Yeah.
I don't really like him. He's a really annoying protagonist. I like the menagerie of circus bugs. I like the jokes that you've got with them. The idea that Francis is a ladybug and everyone assumes that Francis, and getting Dennis Leary is quite funny. I think this is the closest as well that you get for a while with Pixar, where they're casting names rather than who is right for the role.
Yeah, because
like it's a
Spacey
weird one.
Was Hopper, weren't he? And
yeah, Spacey is Hopper. Dennis Leary, who was pretty big in the 90s. David Hyde Pierce was fairly big at the time. Was it Bonnie Hunt is in there as well?
Yeah.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Cracking performance from Hayden Panettiere as Dot.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. But yeah, I think 2-2, like his third 2-2 is a fair place. I don't mind.
I think I'd go 2-2.
Yeah.
I think from the conversation and taking Holly's opinion into account as well, it would not a fail. It would be a lower end 2-2.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Right, where are we now? Toy Story 2. My most interesting story about Toy Story 2 is that it was supposed to be a direct DVD release or a direct to video release. And at one point they were going to scrap it. They were going to scrap it altogether and just not do it. And it was saved by a worker from Pixar who had gone on maternity leave.
Yeah.
Because somebody deleted it from the Pixar server. She'd already taken a laptop home to work with from home and hadn't connected to the server again. So she had the full film on her laptop. And that is what saved it.
I thought it had been accidentally deleted as well. I didn't think that.
Oh, really? No, yeah, I was of the understanding that it was a purposeful, we're going to scrap this.
I was of the understanding that someone had just clicked too many files and just been like, and they'd ended up saving it. This is where I've got to try and separate the game somehow as well.
Oh, yeah. Toy
Story 2, the game where you Pizza Planet tokens and fighting Zurg on the elevator and like all the powers for Buzz Lightyear, and then that impossible level near the end where you're at the airport. Like, oh my god!
Yeah,
where are we putting it, ads?
This is easily my favorite of the Toy Story films.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
agreed.
I think 2-1. I don't think it's the first.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Like, my problem is as well with Pixar, because I hold so many of them in such high regard. The problem you've got is that if you keep, you're going to end up so top heavy with like loads and loads and loads of firsts.
Yeah, we would need to be really picky here.
Yeah, and like this is where they really did start to show. I don't think it continued immediately, but this is where they really started to show, no, we know how to tell a story.
Yeah.
And this is easily one
100%.
of those. This should be in everyone's top 10 best sequels of all time.
Yes.
Easily.
Yes.
Like you put it's up there with Terminator, Dark Knight, Godfather 2, Empire Strikes Back. This is, this does exactly what you want it to do. It continues that story on from that natural standpoint. And like the crisis of confidence that Woody has is like really realistic, and it's very well presented. Like, it's great.
No, I really like it. It's one that Ruby likes as well. Holly put it as a 2-1 as well. So we're again unanimous. So we're off.
I think out of all the things I had in my head at 2-1, this was probably the top one.
Yeah.
Out of anything that I put in here, not just Toy Story.
That kind of borderline, yeah. Right. Fourth, 2001 Monsters Inc. I sour on Monsters later on, but I like this one.
I like it. I don't love it.
Okay.
I like.
So in terms of what we've got on the board now, are you saying it's better than Bug's Life?
Yes.
But worse than Toy Story 2?
Yes. And worse than Toy Story.
Yeah. I would. See, I don't.
Because the thing that gets me in it, and Georgia disagrees with this, she loves him in it, but there's the story as well that Billy Crystal turned down Woody. He was like one of the first choices to voice Woody.
Right, okay.
And he turned it down. He's like, oh, it's just some kids' film. And then obviously Pixar films absolutely ballooned and took off. So then when they came back to him and said, oh, do you want to voice the Pixar character? He jumped at the chance. I don't think Mike Wazowski's very funny. I think funny things happen to him. I don't think, like, it just reminds me of that annoying cringe mate who tries to be funny and it never quite lands.
Yeah.
I think Steve Buscemi is an odd choice of actor for Randall. I love the design of Randall. I love the concept of Randall. But I don't know. Steve Buscemi is just an odd choice. I don't know who I would have in that role.
I don't know. I think his voice goes well with it. I don't really see an issue with that.
It's just like sometimes where he needs to be scary, he's not scary. Like, I like his kind of slime ball approach to it, but he's not.
Yeah.
Like, he could be. He could. I don't need him to be like uber intimidating. You know, like the Claw from the old Inspector Gadget. I don't need him super bassy like that. James Coburn is incredible in this as well. Waternoose, like his buttery, bassy voice in this is incredible.
Yeah.
And obviously, like the relationship between Sully and Boo is really sweet. And
yeah.
I think I'm leaning to 2-2.
I think, yeah, I'd say 2-2. I think that like you're saying, the Sully and the Boo relationship is something that I think everybody fell into, especially when you were younger at the time. You know.
Yeah.
And everyone wanted a Sully. You know, I think Ruby's got one now, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm with you on a 2-2. Holly had it at a 2-2 as well.
Yeah, I think it's definitely better than Bug's Life. Like, I'm happy. I wouldn't care if someone was like, "Oh, do you want to watch Bug's Life?" I'd be like, whatever. Whereas if someone said, "Oh, do you want to watch Monsters Inc?" I'd be like, "Yeah, all right."
I think as well of like replayability by the mainstream TV channels and stuff, you're more likely to find Monsters Inc. than Bug's Life.
Oh yeah, easily.
Like BBC One would stick Monsters Inc. on an afternoon on a bank holiday weekend if they had nothing else to show. Bug's Life barely ever comes up anywhere.
Yeah, people don't care about it, which is...
That's quite sad, I think. But, you know. Right, 2003, Finding Nemo.
Oh,
go on.
We're getting good.
Mm-hmm.
We are getting good here. Like, it's never one that I'm like... It's one that I always kind of sleep on, and then when I watch it, I'm like, "Oh, that was amazing."
Yeah.
Like every single time, like it's really well acted, very funny, very quotable. This is Pixar's first. I'm trying to think of how to word this efficiently. It's their first nailing of an animal in terms of their personality. Those seagulls.
Yeah.
Like that is one. That is the funniest. Like, oh god. I did
it the other week actually when we went to Haven. There were just some seagulls, and I was going down the road going boy.
Yeah, and like the story's great. It's a gut punch of an opening as well.
Yeah.
Is it a first, or are we being harsh and saying 2-1?
I was prepared to veto this to put it in a first. So if you're saying first, it's in
Let's
first.
Put it up there because it is.
Always put it as a 2-1. But
I do get.
If I'm honest, this is my favorite Pixar film.
Wow, really?
Yeah, just because it came at a time where, for some reason, this and Johnny English, because they were two films that my grandparents had. And around about this time, we were going through a bit of a tumultuous family thing. And I was spending a lot of time at my grandparents. And I was watching that, and I was watching Johnny English just back to back. And it just became a thing of like comfort film. And even now, when I go back to it, and like we showed it Ruby recently as well, I love it. I think it's great. I don't think it steps a foot wrong at all anywhere.
I'm pretty sure it's Thomas Newman, my boy, on the music as well.
It is indeed.
Mr. Ray is great. Yeah, it's wholesome. It's a very, very wholesome film. Because there's not like a standout villain other than Darla, who is hilarious. Like I remember going into it and getting a McDonald's toy for Gil, and Gil's like, if you were just given the design for Gil, it's like, oh, that's a villain.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And like the prison break from the fish tank is hilarious.
Oh, it's all like you got to get the stone in at the right time.
Yeah. The ritual where they make him go through the ring of fire, and the starfish. Does he have to do it? He's just a boy. Alison Jack, like all the characters in the fish tank are hilarious. Deb and Flo, which is a hilarious pun in and of itself. The guy who loves bubbles.
Yes.
Jacques.
Jacques is responsible for my one and only ever viral tweet. So if you remember back to, I can't remember what year it was, when the Olympics happened, and I think it was in Brazil, and the pool went green because of algae or something like that. And they kept diving in. They're saying it was perfectly fine, but the pool went green. I just tweeted Jacques no cleaning with a still from Finding Nemo. Hashtag of the Olympics. Blew up. It's still on BuzzFeed if anyone's interested.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm glad you agree. A segue for you, a musical segue for you. Your boy Thomas Newman into your boy Michael Giacchino for 2004's Incredibles.
Get it up there.
Oh,
get it up there. It's first.
I feel like this might be your first veto.
Are you going to make me veto this?
In that I would put it in 2-1. Holly's put it at 2-2.
What is she smoking? What? I'm sorry, seriously. What is she smoking? What is wrong with this film?
I will say this. Holly said to me yesterday, I said, it's going to go out on Monday. If you need any pre or post birth listening, she said it might end up being during the birth. So if you're asking what she's smoking while she's giving birth.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing to your baby? Like, what are you smoking? What are you risking your baby with to say that Incredibles is a 2-2? It is the perfect family film. It has got literally everything. Literally everything. Action, comedy, sweet moments, drama, great intrigue, great story. Like, oh my God. Veto. I'm saying it now. Get it in first.
He's getting it up. First. He's used his veto.
I don't care. I'm sorry. Like, this is probably my favorite Pixar film. I don't think it's objectively the best by a long way, but it just does everything that you would want a film to do.
I thought I'd be the reason for you to use a veto first, not Holly.
Just on it, like that has really annoyed me. Like,
I like it. When I taught superhero films, I was like, this is a really good one to look at because, obviously the dad has to be strong, the mum has to be flexible and bendy because she has to be in 16 different places at once. Violet just wants to disappear because she's a teenage girl.
And keep people away from her.
Yeah, and Jack has all the energy that Ruby currently has because he just wants to run around everywhere. Jack's the baby, isn't he?
Yeah. Jack's the baby. And he's not figured out
unpredictable. That's the issue.
The baby's unpredictable. Edna Mode is one of the funniest characters Pixar have ever made. Edna Mode is incredible. She's so funny.
Edna Mode reminds me of, there's an actual actress.
Yes, it's not based on her. I've looked into that.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Brad Bird has said, I get why people think that, but it isn't. Yeah,
he's in is it NCIS or something like that?
Or Criminal Minds or something like that.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah.
But it's incredible. Like the motifs to Bond. I love the bits where he's like breaking in and stuff like that. The pun on No Manison Island because Mr. Incredible is treating himself like that for however long.
Yeah.
The fact that he is at his strongest when they do all work together. Like, Samuel L. Jackson is voicing a superhero in this film. Where is my super suit?
And he's a cool superhero.
Of course he's a cool superhero. His name is Lucian.
Cool.
His name is Lucian. Good God, man. That is my head's gone. My head is absolutely gone after that.
Give it a minute. Right. 2006 Cars. I've not seen this. This is down to you and Holly and a happy sort of middle ground.
I don't think this one's a fail.
Holly's put it in a fail.
Right. This one, I hate the concept. I can't buy into the concept at all. It would be a fail, except for one like really nice moment in it.
Okay.
So I'm guessing like the bare bones of the structure of the plot.
Yeah.
So Lightning McQueen is a race car. He's the up and coming star, and he's like starting to get to the point where he's like in to win races and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's a veteran racer who everyone really respects, and there's a veteran racer voiced by Michael Keaton who people kind of hate because he's a bit of a cheat and a douche. And in the final race towards the end, the cheat pushes the other veteran and he has a really nasty crash. Lightning McQueen is about to win the race and he just stops and lets this other guy win it. He goes back, pushes the old veteran over the finish line so he can finish his final race. Because his mentor, voiced by Paul Newman in his final ever acting role, his mentor was similar. He never got to finish his final race because he had a really bad crash. And he talks about how that was like his biggest regret. There's one very funny joke in it as well where you don't want to laugh because it's cars, but it is funny. So they're looking, the championship they're looking at is called the Piston Cup.
Right.
Yeah. And Mesa, who is that rusty pickup truck voiced by Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh, God.
And it's like, oh, he's looking for the Piston Cup. And he goes, he did what in his cup? Yeah, exactly. It's just like that childlike kind of like, oh, God damn it. I didn't want to find that funny, but it was. So for those two reasons alone, I would say third. But I'm not going to fight Holly to, like, there's a good argument for it to be a fail, really.
I mean, she might be shouting at her phone now, saying that if she had a veto, she'd put it in a fail. But
well, she should have thought about that before she got knocked up.
Oh my God. Oh God. Right, here we go. 2007, Ratatouille. Now, I watched this for the first time the other day, right? Because I sent you a list of the ones that I'd not seen, and I remember you saying that Ratatouille is great and all that kind of stuff. So I watched Ratatouille and I watched Lightyear. We'll get on to Lightyear later. Ratatouille is extremely offensive to French people. Because all they do is have a shotgun and shoot rats or make love. That's it. That's all that French people do in this film.
I'm pretty sure the French would be like, yeah.
No. Remy almost gets shot when he's moving through a roof, right? By a woman who's holding a gun, who then forgives her partner and starts kissing him.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. I love that moment. And
you know what it is, right?
Did you see the Easter egg to Doug there as well? Before
yes, I did.
We ever saw it.
Yeah,
that little shadow of "My name is Doug." Like, I remember finding that completely ludicrous, and it like obviously, especially with American filmmakers, there will be this image of what France is like and stuff like that. But if you want to look at how they respect French characters, just look at God, I forget her name. She's fantastic. The sous chef.
I was going to say Colette, but it's not Colette.
I think it is Colette, you know.
Is it Colette?
I think it's Colette. She's fantastic. She's everything that the French want. Like, strong, independent woman.
Oh, it is Colette.
Yeah. Is it Janine Garofalo voicing her as well?
I think... Hang on. Yes. So, I think, fine, whatever... But there was a point where I was just like, there's no conflict in this film.
There's plenty of conflict.
Oh, yeah, but it's conflict between a guy and a rat who's helping him cook.
No, it's conflict between... You've got the conflict of Skinner thinking that his restaurant is going to be taken over because Linguini is going to come in. And, like, there's not much conflict. There's a thread, but Finding Nemo doesn't have conflict. It has but
I wanted him to get Nemo back.
Yeah, but I want Linguini to do all right. I want Remy to live his dream.
I wasn't that bothered.
And just, honestly, like, Skinner is a bit cliche as a villain, although I have warmed up to him a lot because I think I've started viewing him as more of, like, a comedy villain more and more these days, rather than, like, taking him too seriously. Because it's Ian Holm doing a very over-the-top French accent and just loving life. But... I mean, come on, the positives, Adam. How does it manage visually to get across the idea of taste? That's so difficult. Those moments where you get like the lights and the music and stuff, like when Remy's tasting things. And also the idea that his brother just doesn't get it because some people don't have that palate. But like when Remy's eating things, like Remy's eating things together and you get those like pops of music and light, and when he brings it together, it creates something new and exciting. That's incredible. And that's all done visually. Like, a lot of other filmmakers would have Remy just tell you what it tastes like.
Anton Ego, right? I didn't care whether or not you like the food or not. Like, because you're a turd. What are you doing?
But that turnaround, that idea as well, that because food is linked with smell, and smell is that kind of comfort for you. That, like, you were talking about, one of the main reasons you love Finding Nemo is because it was a comfort blanket to you, and that hits him right in the comfort blanket. That's his comfort blanket, is his Ratatouille. And, like, he puts on this facade of being this horrifically scary guy who's also really funny because he's about to spit take wine, and then he remembers himself, looks at the vintage of the bottle and makes sure he swallows the damn thing because he's not going to waste that wine. That's hilarious. When he tells Linguini, if I don't like it, I don't swallow. Come on.
Oh, dear.
And the message in this film is incredible.
I feel like I'm going to have to meet you in the middle. Because Holly's put it as a 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd go third.
Veto first.
Are you what?
Veto.
Oh my God.
Veto. I don't care. It's a first dance. It is incredible.
Jesus Christ.
It is incredible.
It's really
I'm telling you now, if you were in a room with me and Georgia, especially right now, you wouldn't be making me veto it because she'd just be bloody making you put it in first.
Oh my God.
It is by far and away her favorite Pixar film. And I've already said a bunch of times, like, I could do a top 10 of films I was not interested in ever watching until Georgia was like, no, seriously, watch this.
Oh.
So, like, Kung Fu Panda's in there. I love the Kung Fu Panda films. Like, they're incredible. This is the top of the list. This film has no right being any. This is just, I feel comfortable having watched this film. I feel happy. I feel content. I love everything about it. They could have easily made Remy's dad a douche who just doesn't get his son's dream. But they throw in that really dark scene where he's like, this is what happens to rats who get too close to humans. And you see a bunch of dead rats hanging in the window. That is dark. And you know how much I love dark stuff. But he's like, you might think I'm just being awful to you. I'm trying to make sure you don't die, Remy. Nothing wrong with this film at all.
I thought it was naff.
Good for you. You're wrong.
Right. 2008 Wall-E.
Get it up there.
Yeah. I mean, Holly's put it in a first.
Yeah. Get it up there. Like, again, this is another one to sleep on. I can't remember. I think this might have just missed out on my top 10 animated films. And I remember being very upset about that.
Yeah. I mean, I really love the first bit of, before they get to the humans and all that kind of stuff. Just Wall-E, wandering around.
Yeah, just wandering around with Hello Dolly. Like, it's great. And all he wants to do is hold hands.
Yeah, that's all.
All he wants to do is hold hands. Otto, very overlooked villain in Pixar, because I think people would probably say, and I get why, Syndrome, best Pixar villain.
Ollie doesn't agree.
Yeah, clearly. Jesus. I might need to give you some extra work here because I'm going to inform Georgia of your egregious choice.
Oh no!
Babes, Ratatouille. No. You tried putting it in third. I vetoed him. It's in first. I vetoed him.
Good. You're going to live off that good for about a week.
She said, go away. She said, go away, but much ruder in response to what you just... But yeah, Otto, very slept-on villain. And that horrendous moment towards the end where she can't wait to carry him outside. She's got to shoot through the ceiling. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And Thomas Newman's finest bit of music in Pixar, Define Dancing. Like, I well up every time that scene comes on because I'm a big softie when it comes to music.
It's just a little broken PC that wants to hold hands.
Exactly. And he's like Frankensteining himself with all of his broken brothers and sisters. Like, Georgia really identifies with. Do you know that little sweeper robot who's like following Wally around? He's like, Georgia's like, that is like if I'm being cast in any role in Pixar, that's me. I am. And
nice.
And I used to not like all the human stuff because it kind of took away, but like it's got to be in there ultimately.
Yeah.
I remember seeing as well recently some mad allegory that said that kind of compared Wall-E to the Book of Genesis from the Bible.
Okay.
So the humans are all living on this paradise where they never want for any suffering. There's never any disease. There's never any war. That like the axiom is effectively this paradigm for paradise, effectively, and then they are tempted by a plant. They are tempted by a plant, and they end up going and living on this earth where they are going to know suffering. They are going to know pain. They are going to know all of these things, and it's because they've been tempted away from heaven. So Wall-E's the devil, basically. Yeah, Wall-E is Satan.
Yeah. As you do.
And again, I am a sucker. I've been saying this to Georgia so much that she's bored of hearing it. I am a sucker for characters that can effectively communicate without needing to do it through words. So one of the things I do really love about Pocahontas is, of all films, because we slated that when we talked about it, but like the animal friend, you know, Flip, Miko, I can't remember what the pug's called again. Say again? Percy the pug. Thank you, Georgia. So like all the animals, it would be really easy to get them to talk and have like fun little, you know, witty asides, but they don't. But you still know exactly what their personalities are, what they're like, what they want in any given situation. And it's just through clever animation, and that's how they do Wall-E and Edie as well.
Anthropomorphized animals, I am all in for.
Yeah,
you know, like we mentioned Mulan with the cow, and then the horse.
Down, Bessie.
Yeah, and then what was Road to El Dorado, Altivo the horse.
Yeah, Altivo. Yeah. And Maximus in Tangled as well. He's one of my favorites. Yeah. But yeah, Wall-E and Eve, I think this is the first time, looking back, I'm pretty sure this is the first time Pixar have managed that. Because it's a bold choice having the character that you're following not say anything.
Yeah, 100%. It's because we were shown it in university as part of a Hollywood module, specifically looking at the callbacks to silent cinema and the callbacks to everything else, you know. And the sort of build up of eventually mainstream cinema with your overweight humans, you know. Okay, right.
There's also the fun fact as well of they're out in space. They can't really grow much. So what are they eating? They're Soylent Greening.
Oh,
they're eating the dead, Adam.
Soylent Green is people.
Soylent Green is people.
This might be a contentious one.
Go on.
2009 Up. Now,
oh god damn it! I'm running out of vetoes here, Adam. Come on.
Hang on. Holly has said 2-2.
What is wrong with her?
Hang on. There is a justification. Right. The first 20 minutes of Up are god tier, and the very ending is beautiful. I just find the rest of the film a little bit less impressive and a bit more by the numbers.
No,
I think she has a fair point there.
No, I'm sorry.
I wouldn't go 2-2. I would go 2-1.
Oh my god!
You have one veto left.
I know, and I'm scared I'm going to need it for later for something. God, I'm sorry.
Like the opening is amazing, and I use it when I teach screenwriting because it's all about how can you tell a story without verbally telling a story. But then I'm agreeing with Holly in that I think once the house lifts off and we go, you then get a very kind of fine film, and that's it.
I don't know, but then I'm looking at the things that we've agreed go in first, and I'm also thinking they are fine story because it's not the stories within Pixar that you fall in love with. It's the characters. It's the characters. And in the opening, you can't tell me you don't love Carl, because we all agree that the opening 20 minutes makes you fall in love with him.
Yeah, of course you do. But then at the end of it, you've still got to sit through another hour then.
Yeah, but then his relationship with Russell is really sweet. And again, that realization that he's been steadfast focused on this specific thing that he thought Ellie wanted. And then it turns out, no, they'd had their adventure together. Now go and have a new one. And he's letting go of the past. It is a beautiful metaphor for dealing with grief. Complete with a giant bird that does what we've just talked about and love, because I love Kevin. Kevin gets slept on as a comedy character in this, but like Kevin is fantastic. And Doug is the funniest character that Pixar have made. They have nailed, if a dog could talk, this is how they would talk. And Charles Muntz is a fantastic villain. He's incredible. He's really good, because you think, oh, their problems are over. Carl's meeting his hero. And then that moment where it's like, oh, this guy's insane. And he has murdered like 5 people. And he just slowly rattles off their heads, their little explorer caps. That's horrifying. It's such a compelling story. And it's just like they managed to up the tension with it as well. Like that shouldn't be a tense film. And it is. And like that ending sequence where he's like chasing them through the house and he gets caught by the balloons and falls to his death.
This is still number 10. You've still got 16 to go.
I know. I'm just trying to argue this with this is not. This is easily better than WALL-E. Come on.
I don't.
Because the story in WALL-E is pretty by the numbers. Our hero meets someone.
It's easily better than Ratatouille.
Shut up. Our hero is this quirky individual who falls in love, follows them to the ends of the earth to try and be with them and get them the thing they want, and then it's just a love story at the end of the day. But it's the characters you're falling in love with. It's the little motifs in there. I'm sorry, Up is unbelievable. He's
trying, Hal. He's trying.
Up is in that golden age of Pixar films where everything they would do. It started with Finding Nemo. And everything they are doing, because this is where I had to get harsh, because it was like everything between Finding Nemo, and I can't remember how far forward it goes. I could easily put everything in first, because it is just knocking, well, other than Cars, obviously, but it is knocking everything out of the park that is not just meant for kids. And this was pretty much like peak Pixar for me for a while.
Well, all right. Holly's put it in 2-2. I'm not going to put it in 2-2. I'm saying 2-1.
Jesus wept.
Are you letting it go?
Right. Wait. I'm looking and seeing if there's anything I'm going to need to veto later on.
I think you're worried about at least 2 more on that list.
Veto. Get it in first.
Oh! He has no more power, people. His power has gone away.
No more power. I don't care.
No more power. Oh, the S is about to go down. Oh, right. Toy Story 3. Yeah. Where's Holly put it? Holly's put it in a first.
Really?
Yeah. What did she say about Toy Stories? Hang on.
It's a cracking ending to a nice trilogy, to be fair. But
she said it can't imagine it's too controversial, apart from maybe putting Toy Story 3 ahead of the others.
I do like it. I do really like it.
I don't think I'm that big of a fan of it though.
I do quite like it. I just don't think it's as good as either of the other two from this first.
I'd put it in 2-1 with the other two.
Yeah, I would.
Just based on conversations that I'd had with people.
Yeah.
In that, that question of what's the greatest trilogy of all time. Like, if you ask my father-in-law, he'd tell you it's Lord of the Rings. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you it's the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah,
but then a lot of people,
Wars, and then a
lot of people go Toy Story, but then they ruin that later on. So maybe that's where I'm going to use my veto. But yeah. Right. Well, that was simple. Cars 2. I've not seen this. Holly's not seen this. This is on you.
Fail.
Okay.
So they focus on. I don't think this film knows what it wants to be. It's a weird, like, spy film.
Oh, is this the Finn missile with Michael Caine?
Yeah, and it's like there's like cars that die, and it's just it's a film that doesn't work for me.
Dies.
Well, yeah, he sends rockets, and like they're on an oil rig, and the oil rig blows up, and you see cars getting caught up in the fire, and it's like
just have a load of paper that just says written off.
Yeah, it's like there's nothing really about it. Like, Lightning McQueen is front and center in that poster there. He's barely in the film.
Right, okay.
The main character of the film is very much Mater.
Is this still Harry the Cable Guy popularity of that time?
Yep. Yeah, it's the breakout character because he was kind of like the quirky comic relief in the first film, and
he had a couple of shots as well, didn't he, Mater? Or like a
series. And it's just. Yeah,
Mater's Tall Tales.
It's just a mess. Like, there's nothing going on with it really that is consistent with the previous film. Like, why? I don't know. It's like trying to get on the James Bond hype, I guess. But like,
the thing I love about Holly's put things is that she's put Cars 1 in a fail, and then in her not seen list, she's got Cars 2 and 3 because she's like. I know that first one was bad, so I ain't bothering with it.
Yeah, it's a fail.
Okay. But I've not seen Brave, which is next. Holly's put Brave in a third.
I would say 2-2 for Brave. It's a really weird one. It looks like if you watch it, and again, we'd probably be ranking this a lot less harshly if it was a Disney film.
Because this seems like a very rocky period for Pixar. Sorry to interrupt you, but go from Toy Story 3 before Inside Out, you've got Cars 2, Brave, and Monsters University.
Yeah. Brave is a weird one because there's a lot of stuff it does really, really well. It's one of, how there's been a boom of films recently that have really focused on the mother-daughter dynamic.
Yeah.
And this did this in, what was it, 2012 when it came out? So like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago, and no one really talks about it, and it is a shame because like
there was a whole thing on Kermode and Mayo's film review, so it was Wittertainment at the time, about Mark Kermode basically saying this is a mother and daughter film.
Yeah.
And then loads of people wrote in saying it's not, but it was talking about like how a dad would take his daughter to go and watch it, and they'd still get something from it, and this, and and it became a real sort of discourse of the podcast that all these people were going watching Brave and really taking against Kermode, just trying to write it off as a mother-daughter film because it had a female protagonist in it.
But it focuses on that relationship. That's the main conflict is between Merida and her mum, because her mum wants her to be this princess with the responsibilities and everything that entails, and wants her to focus on her duties. And Merida wants to kind of roam free a bit. And it's like, yeah, we've seen this character a bunch of times before. And I think she was like, you look at the marketing there, she's there with a bow and arrow, and you're thinking, oh, she's gonna be like a warrior princess. And she's not. And like, you could have done with a bit of that in there to maybe win people over a bit. And some of the humor is a bit jarring in that it kind of takes you out of this time period that it's set in. And but it's very much like, do you remember me telling you George's justification for why Pocahontas is one of her favorite Pixar, one of her favorite Disney films?
And not off the top of my head, remind me.
So it's that idea of you've got this young girl who's like running through the forest and interacting with the animals and doing stuff like that. And it was like, that really spoke to a lot of little girls and like what they wanted to do. It certainly spoke to Georgia in that sense. I think Merida will have had a similar effect. if it had kicked on. It's just because the opening shot is incredible. She's like riding a horse through the forest. The animation's gorgeous. The way they animate her hair is to this day impressive. Yeah, there's lots of good stuff about it, but then it's also just a bit meh. Which is
I wonder how much of the meh reaction comes down to bad timing with it being released around about the same time as Hunger Games.
Possibly, maybe.
Yeah.
And with it being Pixar rather than Disney, like I said, because I think if this was released as a Disney film, people would have loved it.
Do they count Merida as one of the princesses?
Yes, yeah, she's done really well. Like her merchandise goes on. And one thing I do like about her, like even in when in Wreck-It Ralph, where they'd like modernized all the Disney princesses to give them those big stupid big eyes and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Merida still keeps her distinctive look, and she does look very different from the other Disney princesses.
Right.
And she looks a bit more normal. Do you know what I mean? She's not this stick. She's she's a realistic depiction, well, within animated terms, but she's a relatively realistic depiction of a human woman, which is quite nice. I think 2-2 is fair. I think I'd certainly put it on par with Monsters Inc.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, I can't judge. I mean, I know Holly put it as a third, but we're kind of ebbing somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Monsters University. 2013. Holly's got it as go on.
This might be a fail,
Holly's got it as a third. My gut reaction is fail.
I don't see the point of it.
I don't see the point of it, and I don't. Other than, and I think this is just purely because I edited a sizzle reel for the cinema. The only thing I remember from that film is the snail going, "Better go," and then just doing this and not moving anywhere. Yeah, that's it. And that's just because I put that in the sizzle reel.
And do you remember how little you laughed at that joke as well?
Yeah. And then they did it about 14 times.
Yeah. And
it was the post-credit sting.
Yeah. And nothing. I don't remember any of the jokes in that making me laugh. The only thing I liked was Helen Mirren Monster. The dean of the university. But it's not a single joke landed. It breaks the canon of the first film as well, because Mike has a throwaway line of like, "You've been jealous of my look since the third grade," implying that they've known each other throughout their education life. And then this is like, no, they met at university.
God, it does my head in. Like, this is totally off tangent a little bit. Amy went up to bed a bit earlier than me last night. So then by the time I got up there, for whatever reason, she was watching X-Men Origins Wolverine. And I was sat there and I was like, this does my head in. And she said, why? And I said, because he apparently doesn't know Sabretooth, but then in the first, he apparently knows Sabretooth, and in the first film they don't know each other. He doesn't look anything like Stryker. Bothers me.
I mean, to be fair, they do make it painfully obvious that when he gets shot in the head at the end of that film, he's lost all of his memory.
Come on, man.
Yeah. But anyway. I'm not sitting here trying to defend X-Men Origins.
No, that's for another day.
It is a garbage fire of a film.
Yeah. Right. Inside Out. I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to do that.
I was about to say, don't you bleeding dare.
No. It's in Holly's firsts.
Yeah.
She still has another first along the way.
I hope we agree on it.
Oh,
because I can imagine. I think to be fair, I think me and Holly will agree, because I've heard her wax lyrical about the film. I think should be a first as well.
Yeah, I think you're both agreeing on the same thing.
This is the best Pixar film. It's the best. It's not my favorite, but it is the best.
I'll tell you a story about this, right? So Odeon every now and again do a screen unseen thing where the idea is that they're going to show a mystery film, and it's usually one that the distributors want to give it a little bit of word of mouth before its actual cinema release. And there was one coming up and we'd booked tickets for it and all that kind of stuff, 2015. And it ended up being Inside Out. And everyone was surprised that it ended up being Inside Out, because it's like, why does a Pixar film need word of mouth or anything like that? I remember having a really weird reaction to the opening scenes where Riley's born. And it was just because we were 6 weeks off a miscarriage. And I was sat next to Amy, and I just thought, oh no, like, I hope she's all right. I hope, And like, there was a couple of films around about that time where I had that kind of reaction to it. But when we came out, she was just like, that was really good, And I've gone back to it since with that kind of thinking off my mind, and just the way that it puts emotions out there and just kind of correct. I think I really want Ruby to sort of sit down and watch this properly, because she's seen bits of it.
I've said this should be mandatory viewing for kids, because it gets across the idea that it's okay to be sad. It communicates what depression is, for God's sake. This film, like, it is an inability to feel joy because your brain can't process it for whatever reason. At that moment in time, your brain can't process joy.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. And like,
just so many things, like losing the train of thought, and it actually being a train that go, and
going into the bit where they get abstracted. Yeah. Like abstract thought and stuff like that. It's so clever. This is everything a film that'll come up later I thought it was going to do with a similar concept, and it never did it. And I was like, well, that sucked.
Lost memories and things like that.
Yeah, and Bing Bong.
Oh, Bing Bong.
Bing Bong. Like, this could be the saddest moment in any Pixar film. Like, I'm thinking, because up there you've got WALL-E, you've got When She Loved Me from Toy Story 2, you've got I Can't Lose You Again from The Incredibles. You got Carl and Ellie, obviously, but Bing Bong. Yeah. Because I've said before, I knew it was coming because he looked all determined, and he jumps off the car. And Amy Poehler has no business acting this goddamn well.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the entire cast is unbelievable, but Amy Poehler, like, when she's like down in Lost Memories and she's holding like a lost memory and she's like crying over it, it's like, oh, even Joy can cry. What the hell? Yeah. And then the funny bits are great as well. Like
the dad's brain. I relate to the dad's brain so much right now. We'll be sat down, and like Amy will say something to me, and her brain must be going, is he listening? Did he even take that in? And I'm sat there just going, oh, that wrestling match is quite good. I might go and watch that again after. What if I go and play more zombies after? Yeah. And then I'll look up and she'll be like, and I'll go, yeah, Ruby, don't do that. Yeah.
So we are at DEFCON 2, preparing to put the foot down.
The foot is down.
Good job, everyone. Well,
I thought of that recently when we were at a family gathering, Amy's side, and Ruby was just messing around, and Amy was shouting, Ruby, Ruby, Ruby. And then I ended up going, Ruby! And then Amy's cousin went, oh, the bass in that voice there. Yeah, the foot is down.
Yeah.
We all agree on that. That's
everything about Inside Out, because it's the best one. Like, and even the short that came before it, Lava.
Oh, Lava. Oh.
Lava. I can't hear that. I cannot listen to that song without welling up. I'm pathetic. I know. I cannot listen to that song without welling up. Just
Lava. Right. The Good Dinosaur. I've not seen it. Holly's not seen it. Ollie, this is on you. Because I've heard mixed things. I've heard people say it's absolute trash. And then I've heard people say, like, oh my God, it makes me really emotional.
I think it's very similar to Cars. It is it's a very kind of nothing film, except for for a couple of moments. So there's a bit where, because the whole point is he finds a little cave boy, Arlo, our little good dinosaur. He finds a little cave boy, and they have a scene together where they communicate.
Yeah.
That because Arlo's dad dies, and it's one of those. Oh, Arlo thinks it's his fault because he put himself in a situation or whatever. Right. So they communicate because obviously the little kid doesn't understand what Arlo's saying. They communicate using like rocks and twigs that Arlo's family have died, and that Spike, I think he's called, his family have died. And they get across the idea of a family by like getting all the rocks and then drawing a circle around them in the dirt. And again, I'm a bit of a sucker for, they're communicating something without using words. It's a clever way of doing it, and it's quite a heartfelt scene. And that's where they start to bond, because at that point, Spot goes up and like cuddles up to Arlo, and it's quite nice. And then at the end, Arlo's about to be reunited with his family, but they hear more humans. And they're like, oh, we'll take it, they can't speak, but they're like, oh, okay. And Spot's like a bit torn, and Arlo's like crying, and he pushes Spot towards them, and then he draws a circle around them, and Spot understands from that, and then they hug. And it's this really, really touching moment.
Yeah.
It's a fantastically touching moment. And I think that alone stops it from being a fail.
Right.
Like these two. The problem is beyond that, there's not much else being offered, really. Okay. So I think a third would be a fair place. Yeah, it would be a fair place with Dinosaur.
Okay. Finding Dory.
This is a weird one.
Holly's got this as a 2-2.
Where do you have it?
I mean, just looking at what we've got in 2-2, I'd put it in a third.
Yeah, probably would.
I think Bug's Life and Monsters Inc. are miles better than that. And
Brave is better than it, yeah.
Like Nemo being my favorite. I wasn't when they announced it, I was just like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
I don't like, because everybody at the time with Nemo was doing the whole just keep swimming.
Yeah.
And Dory was never a reason why I go back to that film.
Oh, really? That's one of George's favorite moments in the film. When I'm with you, I don't forget. Yeah, that's quite a sweet moment. Yeah.
No, it is, but I think for me, it wasn't one of the things that kept taking me back to it.
Yeah.
So then having a whole individual film just about Dory,
it's the breakout character problem, isn't it?
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
Like,
I think I'm going to go third.
Yeah, it is quite sweet though when she reunites with her parents, and like Baby Dory is one of the cutest things Pixar have ever made.
Yeah.
Baby Dory is so cute, but
there were very vague moments that I remember.
Yeah, I just remembered as well because like one of the only impressive things in it, because there's like every single Pixar film has like one thing where they're like, this is what we're putting the animation on. So like Merida's hair was one of them. Sully's hair in Monsters Inc. What was it in Ratatouille? I think it was the food in Ratatouille. I'm trying to think what it would have been in Inside Out. Maybe Joy, because she looked quite fuzzy and weird. And in this one, apparently it was Hank the octopus was the hardest thing to animate.
All right.
There's like, because Pixar have like one thing they like to kind of announce beforehand. It's like, oh, this was the hardest thing to animate. I'm struggling remembering a bunch of them now, which is a shame because it's quite interesting to know from them what is quite difficult to animate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, where have we put it? Third. I think that's fair.
Yeah, third, yeah. Another one just for you, Cars 3. Me and Holly haven't seen it.
Again, I think it's probably on par with the first one.
Okay.
Probably on par.
So it's better than the second.
It's probably better than the first one as well, but I don't think it's good enough to get into 2-2.
Okay.
So, do you remember the trailer for this where they were like, oh, God damn it, I might need to watch this because the trailer was fantastic?
I think I do, actually. Yeah, I think
it was like
trying to like pitch it off as like an action type.
Not quite. It was Lightning McQueen having a really nasty crash in slow motion.
Yes.
And it was like, okay. And I do remember the hardest thing to animate in this. He goes to like a roller derby and there's like loads of mud. So the mud was the hardest thing to animate. The whole point of this is there's a new generation of race cars. They're like electric cars. So they can accelerate much quicker. They're built in such a way that they stick to the ground a lot lower. They're just much, much, much better at racing. I think Arnie Hammer is the voice of the main villain in this. And you think you know where the story is going, in that, Lightning McQueen's going to prove those young bucks wrong, but he's training with this other like new generation type who's never been allowed to race for whatever reason. Maybe it's because she's female, I don't know, but it's never made clear why I can't remember why she's not allowed to race. And he's training up with her, getting back from his injury, as it were. And he's like improving. And then his best ever lap, he's still like, and he feels like I've given it everything. I've done everything right. And he is miles off. He's miles off where he needs to be.
Right,
absolutely miles off. And he then realizes she needs to be the racer and I need to be mentoring her. Like, my time's done. And it's quite a nice little passing the torch moment.
Yeah.
It's a nice little, it's a nice little, you got Nathan Fillion as like a billionaire mogul in there as well. So he gets to bring his, you know, I'm very glad that we could have Lightning McQueen with us today. Like, just yes. It's fine. I wouldn't rush back to watch it again.
Okay.
But it was okay.
Right, I'm assuming I'm just gonna grab this one and just send it all the way up there. That's Coco in first.
Yes.
Holly put it there. I'm assuming it's the one that you were saying that you hope you agree with.
Yep.
That's Holly's last first. There you go.
I think that's fair. Looking at that. Yeah. No, I would. There's a couple that flirt with it for me, but I don't think they quite make it. But yeah. Coco. I think it is because I'm such a sucker for music that this film hits me so hard. I
think we kind of had this discussion very lightly, in that we were talking about the Encanto soundtrack over text, and I said my favorite song from the Encanto soundtrack is Dos Oruguitas or whatever it is, and you said that's very Remember Me light. Now, don't hate me for this, I'm not that big of a fan of Remember Me. I like Coco, I really do, but it was one of those songs where, like, very similar to how I felt with La La Land, where everyone was like, City of Stars is going to be this really great song from this film, and then when it happened in the film, I was like, oh, is that it?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't think Remember Me, the song, if you isolate it, is that impressive. It's not. It is how it's used as a storytelling device. It's the fact that the villain, Ernesto de la Cruz, has turned it into this big, all singing, all dancing number with lots of show. And the fact that Hector, it was a lullaby to his daughter. And it was just this soft little guitar piece. And again, like, my granddad really, really struggling with Alzheimer's at the minute, and the way to get through to him is music.
Yeah.
The way to get through to him is to put on like a Matt Monroe song or a Frank Sinatra song or something like that, and it'll bring him back a little bit. It'll trigger something, and he'll start singing along with it. And that's exactly what happened with Coco at the end of this film. And like, just that ability to empathize with that on such a strong level. That was hard to, like, they've nailed music. They actually animate him play, like, all the notes and chords that you see him playing. That's how you would do it. I think the best song out of this is probably Coco Loco. You know, where Miguel's singing in the talent show. Like that had me crying with joy, because it was like, oh my God, Miguel. Because like I think Holly said he wasn't originally going to be a singer, was he? And then he just started.
No, I don't think so. Yeah,
and then he just started rattling off a song, and they were like, Jesus Christ, this kid's incredible. Let's just get him in there. Acting's great. As far as I am aware, I've said as well, the respect of Mexican culture is great. I think the only controversy around this was that there was apparently a Mexican family that tried to sue Pixar because it was based on their life. Like, there was a family of shoemakers who'd had, like, and they tried to sue them for, like, rights to their story or something. I don't know. But I'm having a look now. News outlets discovered that Pixar had failed to disclose that the producers based the character of Mama Coco on Maria de la Salud Ramirez Cabero. From the looks of things, yes, based on the Rivera family, a multi-generational matriarchy headed by Miguel's former grandmother. It's very similar. Yeah.
But again, I think they kind of get past that nowadays with what they put in the credits, where they say like any resemblance or reference is completely fictitious, and
yeah.
Yeah.
This is probably the best looking Pixar film.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Like,
Absolutely
even to this day, like, it is a stunning looking film.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah. Right. Incredibles 2.
I think this is the only one I'm like worried about.
Okay.
Because I think
I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the first one.
Oh God, no. But I think I do like it way more than other people do.
Right. Okay. Holly's put it as a 2-2.
Where are you putting it?
I think I'd agree with 2-2.
Ah, bugger.
Why were you thinking
I think
2-1?
2-1. I do think it's. I think it's better. I think it's better than Monsters Inc. easily. Like
no, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I get why people are like. I think people treat it harshly because of the film it's a sequel to, as well.
But again, that's that thing in it of like to plug another podcast, an unequal sequel, in that this idea that so many sequels just fail to hit the mark that was set by the original.
But I think, but obviously, I mean, you and Holly especially, obviously disagrees with this. But like, I think that was kind of an impossible end to achieve anyway, and they did well with the story. Like, I genuinely think with this one, there's only a couple of like missteps. Like,
I don't remember anything from this one.
This one's really memorable for me. We've got a great design for the villain, a great motif with the villain. We've got great fights between superheroes and imaginative ways of using their powers in those fights. I think the only major misstep is that they had this incredible design for the screenslaver. You know, that guy in the apartment with like the mask and the full body. That's an incredible villain design. Really scary, really intimidating. And you kind of leave it from there. And I quite like the rug pull of Evelyn being the villain. I mean, it's not a rug pull. Her name is Evelyn Endeavor, evil Endeavor, for God's sake. But yeah, like I quite like that. She's the best Lex Luthor type villain we've ever had in a film. Yeah. Sorry. Like that idea of we are overly relying on superheroes. People are strong enough to do it. My father died because instead of calling the police or going to his panic room, he went to call superheroes. He was overly reliant on them. Like, that's a great, like, it's fantastic. Like,
yeah.
It's not, I think the problem is as well that it's not quite as funny as the first film.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem that people have with it. And then the short that they've had off the side of it where Edna actually babysits Jack. I think if they'd made that into the film somehow, people would have liked it more because that is really funny. It's her discovering all of his powers and how to control them. And that's why they're such good friends again.
I will say this though. I think the difference for me between this and the first one is first one, I was 14 when it came out, so I probably watched it God knows how many times. This one, I think I've seen once.
I've seen this one twice, I think, and I love it. I do remember the really funny moment as well where Bob takes, and I love as well that it focuses on them as a family, and Bob is like staying at home and how he's adapting to, and he looks like he's getting the hang of it and he's doing well with them, and then it all goes to pieces because that's what family life is like. And like when he takes Violet to Tony's restaurant and Tony's like waiting on them. And I remember genuinely crying with laughter in the cinema. You know that bit where she like clocks Tony and then all of the soda that she's just drunk comes spewing out of her nose.
Yeah.
And she's like desperately trying to hide herself because she's like, oh my God. And I love that. And I think they force the girl boss energy a bit too much between Helen and Evelyn. I think their conversations are a little bit dry. I get what they're going for, but they are a little bit dry and they drag a little bit. Bob Odenkirk's a little bit wasted in it as well because he's great. I
do
really
too, though. You've run out. You have no power.
I know. I do like this one though. I think I don't know. I think 2-1 is a fair reflection.
But it's in a 2-2.
It's horrible, that.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Out of all the ones that I've got to concede on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't the hardest battle for you to fight, was it? Yeah.
Honestly, like, if I've got to concede on one of them, I'm not having what you were trying with. What was it? Ratatouille, Incredibles, and up. I'm not having that. They are gold standard Pixar films. This one is I like it more than other people do.
I'm glad that I've still got my vetoes because there's still 2 films here that I think I'm gonna have to use them for.
Oh God, I've just realised one of them.
Yeah. Toy Story 4.
You hate this one, don't you?
I hate it.
How much do you hate it?
I hate it in that if you say anything other than fail, I'm vetoing it and I'm putting it in
Wow,
fail.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, so
there you go.
I don't think I care enough to. I mean, I might just try and say, oh, but it does some stuff good to try and get you a veto.
No, just absolute cash grab.
It's a bit
no
pointless,
need for it at all. Like, it's introduced characters that I do not give an S about, that I've now got to look at dolls of because Ruby's seen it and she has all the rest of them. Like,
it's when you've ended a trilogy so perfectly, it is difficult to justify having another film after it as well. And again, going back to the trailer, I think I've mentioned this before, feeling a bit false advertised.
Yeah.
So do you remember in the trailer, I think God Only Knows by the Beach Boys is playing?
Yes.
And you get that heartbreak. I remember me and Georgia, we were watching the trailer. I'm pretty sure we looked at each other like, ooh, when Woody's like, I was made to be played with by children or something like that.
Yeah.
Dodgy sounding line out of context. It was like, and then he says something like, I never realized it would be this hard. And like, that would have been such an interesting angle of like, he is finding it difficult to keep being a toy. Now he's getting on a bit. He is now finding it difficult to keep being a toy.
Yeah.
When he's actually talking about, it's difficult to stop Forky from chucking himself out of
Forky.
an RV.
Who cares about Forky?
I do love Forky because he's just so. No. I know, but he's just so. I love his character.
Come on. I get the idea that, your kids are going to come on with crap every now and again, right?
Yeah.
Because trust me, we've just come back from Harry Potter World. We've come back with some crap, right? But a spork with a bloody noodle wrapped around it and some broken wood, just no.
It opens it up a bit as well. Because you get the idea.
Forky's trash. The film is trash.
Yeah. It looks gorgeous, though.
It does. This is the thing. This is the thing that really annoys me. In that opening scene, the rain looks absolutely amazing.
The sand, when they're going through the sand pit, looks incredible. And it's quite a sweet moment as well, where that creepy doll finds a little girl who's lost at the fair.
Oh, you mean Jimmy Carr?
Not Jimmy Carr. The ones that Jimmy Carr works for.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, Gabby.
I'm sorry as well. Put some respect on Duke Canuck.
Oh, Duke Kaboom.
Duke Kaboom, yeah. Oh,
Duke
no.
Kaboom, yeah.
Keanu. What was the little boy's name? Reeves. What was the little boy's name? Crystal. Just Keanu Reeves, trying his damnedest as a voice actor when that's the one reason you don't want him in a film. But, I love him.
No, that was Finding Nemo being in the first, Toy Story 4 being in fail were the two that, before we even started this, I was like, they need to happen. It doesn't deserve it. Onward. I've not seen it. Holly's not seen it. This is on you.
I really fluctuate on this film, and maybe there's a bit of recency bias with Onward.
Ruby likes it.
I was ready before we watched it to put it in a 2-2.
Okay.
So I think it's a bit run by numbers. And then I remembered that the whole premise of the film is really there to kind of gut punch me and the tragic things I've been through in my life. Because the whole point of it is that Ian finds a spell that can bring his dad back for 24 hours. And he's never met his dad. His dad died just around the time he was born.
Right.
And he really wants to meet his dad. And his older brother, Barley, played by Chris Pratt, has these memories of his dad. And I remember a lot of people criticizing this because are you planning on watching this at any point? Or
I'm not bothered if you spoil it,
So there's this really touching moment because Ian is very, very anxious. He's made this list of all the things that he wants to do with his dad.
Right.
And he's trying to cross them all off. And then as he's about to cross one off, he ticks it because he remembers Barley helped him with that.
Oh, right.
And it's like Barley has always been there for him to kind of fill that void. And like in the end, they kind of force the choice, but ultimately Barley is the one that gets to see his dad.
Yeah.
Because Ian is like distracted.
Right.
But Barley gets to, because ultimately the spell wears off because they like do the spell wrong, so it's only his legs that rock up. So it's just it's bloke's legs just magically rocking around. And ultimately Barley, because Barley is the one who probably has issues of closure, he's the one that Ian says, no, you say goodbye to him because I've never met him. So I have no closure that's needed there. Whereas you do. And like Barley is just such a sweet older brother, because usually with like a brother dynamic, it's dead easy to fall into that, oh, they bicker, oh, they're jealous, there's jealousy there and stuff like that. And they're just not. It's a really sweet relationship. 2-1, I would say.
Okay.
For Onward. It really
intrigued.
Off the back of it, it really pleasantly surprised me. Like their relationship just really powers it through. It's fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm intrigued by that now.
It's worth a watch, definitely. Because I know you're worried that what's that horrific Will Smith film where Bright? You're worried it's going to go the way of Bright, of like, oh, let's take fantasy elements into this modern setting.
Right. Okay.
You're worried it's going to do that, but it does it quite well, actually.
All right. Yeah. Holly's not seen Soul. Where were you putting it?
It's near the bottom.
Oh, shut your face! It's a veto. It's a 2-2. It's a 2-1. Thank you very much.
What? Oh my god!
You sniffle on this film way too much, man.
It's just,
I really like this.
Just nothing came out the back of it, though.
Oh, come on, man! Really funny moments in it.
But there's
the animation is fantastic.
Yeah, but the animation's fantastic in Toy Story 2. Like, I'm not saying it's that bad, but Jesus.
Oh, come on, man.
It's just, there's a lot of like interesting ideas that we kind of look at briefly, and then it's like, oh, look over here instead. Like, I don't know. I don't know what this film set out to achieve.
I really liked it. I can't lie.
I do not know what the point of the film was. Like, like why did Tina? Because it's just like it's a lot of people shrugging. I love the art style. I love those
what
weird.
Do you mean it's a lot of people shrugging?
Because it's like, oh, that's not what your spark is. Well, what is it? I don't know.
Yeah, because nobody knows what the spark is until they find it.
Just, oh god.
Stop rushing through life and trying to find things and just let it happen. Let it happen. Come on, man.
Nah.
Right. I've not seen Luca. Holly put it as a 2-1.
Really?
Yeah. Where were you sticking it?
I mean, it's fine. It's a gorgeous film. I don't know.
This is the last one Holly's seen, by the way.
Yeah, I'd probably say 2-2 maybe for Luca. It was lovely. It was a nice, pleasant watch. The acting in it's really good, especially for the two main lads. Apparently, there's meant to be a nice allegory for LGBT in there. I think it's something about kind of living in your own skin and because the whole point. Have you seen it?
No.
So the whole point is you can see it in the trailer there, that they're little sea creatures, and then when they come out of the water, they take on a human visage.
Right.
But anytime there's water, so if someone splashes them with water, similar to that weird TikTok trend where there's a mermaid on land, and then anytime she gets wet, she turns into a mermaid, and the girls are trying to keep the secret. Right. I mean, it's a gorgeous setting because it's set in I think it's almost like Santorini. It's like this little Italian village with the stereotypical like houses up the side. Like it's a gorgeous looking film. It's just a bit but maybe Holly's put it up there because she understands the LGBT metaphor better than I do, and that it is actually a really poignant metaphor for LGBT. And if it is, then it does deserve some credit. you know, we talked about it with Marvel, with like Black Widow and Black Panther.
Yeah.
You know, the positives of like an ostracized community that it really tries to champion. And it's one of them, like, I think Georgia said it recently, even if it's not intended as that message, the fact that LGBT people can latch onto it as that is incredible. So
I'm going to put it in 2-1 just because I'm concerned that every time there's been a film that I've not seen and you and Holly have seen, I've gone with yours rather than Holly's.
Yeah,
so just to make sure
fair as well. I wouldn't mind hearing Holly explaining that one, because it might just be something I'm not. Yeah, it's just one of them. I was like, yeah, this is nice. Whereas everything in 2-1 for me has been like, yeah, I like that. And then first is I will die for this film.
Right, Turning Red.
I thought I would hate Turning Red.
Yeah, I weren't really bothered by it
because I remember the trailer for it being like, this is really annoying. I hate these characters. I don't like them. It's just that kind of like, we're trying to be really quirky. Yeah. I'm like, I was so, so put off by the trailer.
Like an improv group.
Yeah. And then Georgia watched it with one of her mates. And Georgia said, no, it's actually a pretty good film. Georgia, I think we'll put it in 2-2. I'm saying 2-1. I enjoyed this.
I think I'd go 2-1. Yeah.
I enjoyed Turning Red so much more than I thought I was going to. I think this gets the dynamic, because everyone's like praising Encanto. I think this gets that family dynamic down so much better.
I think it's much more tight-knit. I think what Encanto was trying to do was trying to go massive with it.
Yeah.
Whereas this is literally...
It's so focused, isn't it?
Yeah, and one daughter. Again, I relate to the dad so much. He just wants to get on with his cooking and let everything else go around him, you know?
But this really nails the dynamic of this mother wants the world for her daughter, but the relationship she has with her is damaging.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, it nails that. And it's like, because I think with Encanto, when I watch Encanto, I'm left thinking, because it tries to do that, but it's like, no, Abuela is just a pretty terrible person. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, I never really understand Abuela's motivations for anything.
Yeah, like that's a bit. Whereas here, it is very much, she's a product of her upbringing. She wants the world for her daughter and the best for her daughter, but the way she expresses that is bad for her.
Yeah.
I remember saying very early on, is Turning Red an allegory for menstruation? Because it you know, red, it happens at about that age.
Yeah.
But then when watching, I don't think it is, because like the whole point is that you kind of secure it before it takes control of you. So I think that's...
Well, I seem to remember something coming out about there being a diabetic character in this, but then I don't really remember that being too much of a focus of the film. Well, that's what I thought it was about. I thought, like, for once, that, because I think Amy read it and mentioned it to me, because she was saying that she wanted, because Amy's type 1 diabetic. So she was like, I've read this. I want to watch that film. Then it was one of these where, like, I don't remember it being a thing. Maybe I just overlooked it.
I swear they go with a slightly different animation style in this as well. It's a little bit more jittery, the animation in this.
Yeah.
I've just had a knock at the door, so I'll be with you.
Had a knock at the door. Who is it? I wonder who it is. Who's at the door? If it's the postcode lottery, I'm having some of it.
Yes. We're getting a delivery.
Getting a delivery.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ooh. Sounds enthralling.
It's a giant box. It's a wedding gift.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we got a record player, and we're going to look. I think we're looking to get their first dance song once we figure out what it is on vinyl for them, and probably September by Earth, Wind. No, I don't think that's what it's going to be. I'd get that as well, because I'll buy it. Yeah, the groom's birthday is the 21st of September. So every time that song plays by Earth, Wind and Fire, he's like, this song is all about me.
You hipsters.
But yeah, I swear, yeah, this has like a more jittery animated style as well, which I quite like. I thought I'd hate it based on the trailer, but it's like, no, I really like this. It's quite
I
good.
like it. Lightyear is interesting because Mark Kermode put it as his, I think, 4th or 3rd worst film of the year so far.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and I don't agree with that.
I really enjoyed it.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, I think it's a good little action blockbuster.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, I know what it's trying to do. The one thing that completely bothers me about it is saying that Andy was given a toy that was based on a film. This was that film. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah, this film is very much a 2020 plus onwards film.
Yeah,
this film was not released in the 1990s.
The origin of Buzz Lightyear isn't that he came from a film. It's that it was a popular toy in the space race and the rise of the astronauts in the early 90s that then did away with your sort of typical cowboy, you know, and that's even mentioned by the prospector in Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
They go, what happened? And he goes, Sputnik.
Yeah.
Once the rockets go up, you know, and
I mean, Buzz is sold as a new toy around the time Andy gets him, isn't he?
No, he is, yeah. But then it's never mentioned that this had come from a film. You know. Well, that's nitpicky.
I like the idea of them doing that, but if they really leaned in on that and made it like this, like cheesy 90s action film, then I think that would have worked really well. But Pixar being Pixar, they've got to make something a bit more poignant for today.
Yeah, I mean, I did like all the I'm going to refer to it as the interstellar stuff, where Buzz was going out on so many different missions.
Yeah.
Every time he came back, his partner like aged, you know, and then eventually died.
I did find it a bit weird that they're trying to get time dilation into a kids' film.
Oh yeah.
Like that's a heavy idea because then they're surely thinking, the kids, it's like, well, what's the point of these missions then? By whatever they're called, I can't remember what they're called. But like, what's the point of these missions if every time they're hitting hyperspeed like that, they're back home, everyone's aging quicker, because by the time you've made any discoveries, it's not going to benefit the people back home. And then it's a bit weird that you're going to simultaneously try and have this very realistic depiction of space travel with time dilation, and then try and bring time travel into it at the end as well.
Yeah,
and it's just barely explained how they do that. It's like, oh, if you go fast enough, you'll go back in time. It's like, no, Zerg, that is not how that works.
But then this idea that Zerg is actually just an older Buzz.
I'm not sure how. Is it like an alternate timeline or reality? Like,
I'd say it's very. Did you see the first Star Trek film?
The one where it's Voyager at the end of it. Oh no!
The Chris Pine one.
Yeah. Where you've got old Spock and new Spock.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd go 2-2, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I really liked it because Zerg was terrifying as well. Zerg was really scary.
And
it managed to manufacture a good conflict, because again, it reminded me of Up, where you think, oh, these two meet, they should be like together now, so I wonder where the conflict's going to come from. And then you find out, and then they find an organic way to make conflict between them. And it's quite a nice moment of realization for Buzz, because he's like, oh, I want to go back and undo my mistake. And then he realizes, but then this person wouldn't have been born. And, my commander wouldn't have met her wife and stuff like that. And
then you're ultimately seeing a version of yourself that if you allow basically your stubbornness to take over, that's what you'll become, in 20 years' time, yeah. And
I love Socks.
Well,
Socks is great. Did you love that love that really subtle metaphor where they end up in those laser grids. And Buzz is in the laser grid by himself, and the other three end up in a laser grid together. Yeah. And they're like, no, if we all do it together, then we'll have the force to do it.
Together, Bruce.
Together, Buzz, we can do it. I really liked as well. It was so dumb. I remember really laughing at the meat sandwich bit.
Oh yeah, well, it's so you have bread, meat, and bread. That's really dry.
Yeah, and they're like, but it's the meat that sandwiches the bread. That's why it's called a sandwich. What are you talking about? And I'm looking at it, and again, me and George look at each other, and it's like, that's really annoying because everything they're saying is actually technically true.
But can you imagine like going on your dinner at school, right, and then like having to eat a ham sandwich with like really like hammy fingers afterwards?
Yeah. I think I did really enjoy it. I thought it was a lovely little action blockbuster, very inoffensive. It's probably out of what we've got in there, probably top of the 2-2s, other than obviously Incredibles 2, because I think that should be in 2-1. But
well, let's have a jig around then. Right?
Yeah, let's jig it.
Fail. Cars 2, Monsters University, Toy Story 4.
I think Toy Story 4 is the best fail.
It's staying there, pal.
Mate, you've not seen Cars 2, so
no, I haven't.
So get that to the bottom. I'm sorry. Like Toy Story 4 at least has bits where you're like,
right. Well, just because of the animation, I'll put it there.
Yeah, that looked good, and Duke Kaboom is endearing, and I love him.
Right. So worst of the worst is Cars 2.
Yes.
Then Monsters University. Then Toy Story 4. Right. Third.
This is
Cars
actually
1.
This is
Good
harder.
Dinosaur. Dory. I think again, I've not seen the others. I'd assume that Dory would be further up.
Cars 3 is better than Cars.
Okay. And then would you say Good Dinosaur is better than Cars?
Yes. I'm just wondering whether it's better than Cars 3 as well.
Okay. So Cars is definitely the worst third.
I think it might be. I think Good Dinosaur, like I said, like that one moment in there is actually really sweet. And it's better than the moment in Cars 3.
Okay.
So I think that's fair.
So third in order then, you have actually let's go backwards.
I'm immediately going to need you to get Incredibles 2 to the top of it.
I know, I'll get there. So Cars 3, Good Dinosaur, Finding Dory being the top of the third.
I think that's fair.
So Incredibles 2 is going to the top of 2-2.
I think Lightyear is really good. I'd have Lightyear next.
I don't think. See, because I'd go Monsters Inc. there. I'd then go Lightyear. Yeah, there.
Yeah, I think Brave is definitely better than Bug's Life.
Okay,
definitely. Is it better than? No, it's not better than Lightyear.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So then your 2-2s going working backwards: A Bug's Life, Brave, Lightyear, and Monsters Inc. Incredibles 2. So then let's go into the 2-1s. I think Toy Story 2 is the best of the 2-1s.
Probably. Yeah.
Let me swap them around. Toy Story 1 or Toy Story 3?
I think 3, you know.
Yeah, okay. Toy Story or Onward?
I think, for me, Onward might be better than 3.
Oh, okay.
I think it might. It is really, like, it's just, I really like it.
I'll leave Soul there because I don't think it's better than the Toy Stories.
Yeah.
Luca?
I mean, I think that's fine where it is.
Turning Red?
I think it's better than Luca.
Yeah.
I think it's better than Soul.
Yeah, I'll say it's better than Soul. I don't think it's better than.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
All right, no, I might be pushing it. That's fine. That's fine.
So then 2-1 backwards. Luca, Soul, Turning Red, Toy Story 1, Toy Story 3, Onward, Toy Story 2. Right. So your firsts.
Inside Out's got to be the best.
Unequivocally, Inside Out is up there, isn't it?
Coco's got to be up there.
Me and you would. I would say Finding Nemo then Coco.
I'm happy to put Finding Nemo third, because I wouldn't have it anywhere near that high, but I'm meeting you.
All right, okay, fair enough.
Because I think Incredibles is better than it.
To be fair, yeah, Holly had Nemo win a 2-1, so
yeah. I think no, Up needs to be higher.
Because it was your veto.
Up,
but at the end of the day, WALL-E was a first from all three of us. So then WALL-E needs to be sneaking up here. He's knocked himself over. I can see his light. Ratatouille can get in the bin, so that's over here.
You shut your mouth, you. Ratatouille. I'm sorry.
I'd leave it like that. I think that first row is as is there.
I'm not over the moon with that, but I think I can live with it.
Right. So let's work 26 films. Let's work backwards, right? So then you'd go 26 Cars 2, 25 Monsters University, 24 Toy Story 4, 23 Cars, 22 Cars 3, 21 Good Dinosaur, 20 Finding Dory, 19 A Bug's Life, 18 Brave, 17 Lightyear, 16 Monsters Inc., 15 Incredibles 2, 14 Luca, 13 Soul, 12 Turning Red, 11 Toy Story, breaking the top 10, Toy Story 3, 9 Onward, 8 Toy Story 2, 7 Ratatouille, which you should be happy with 7, 6 Up, 5 Incredibles, 4 WALL-E, 3 Finding Nemo, 2 Coco, 1 Inside Out.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not too bad.
I think both of us have got films there where we're like, no way is that above that. But yeah, because I honestly, like, looking at that, where am I thinking? Because, like, for me, I prefer Incredibles to Luca. Definitely prefer it to, like, Incredibles 2 to, I probably, if this was mine, I'd have Incredibles 2 around Turning Red. Soul and Luca would probably go down 1. Finding Nemo would be lower, but it'd still be a first.
I think for me, Nemo would be higher.
Yeah, it would. You'd have it.
I'd bin off Ratatouille.
Well, you said that was your favorite one, wouldn't it? Like, because my favorite one is a lot lower down as well, with The Incredibles. Like,
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, because I would still have Finding Nemo as a first, because I think it really did kickstart like that generation of, because I know you disagree with Ratatouille, but like Finding Nemo, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Incredibles, Up. I think it kind of finished with like Inside Out and Coco. I know there are some films in between there, but it was almost like, this is what we're releasing for the kids. Like, we're not including like Planes in this as well.
Oh God, no! Yeah,
like, because it was obvious, like, these are for the kids. And Brave is just this weird little. I'm pretty sure it won Best Animated Picture that year as well in the Oscars.
Probably.
And it wasn't like, oh, is it one of those years where nothing else has been released? I swear, if you check what it beat out, you're like, how did it beat that out? Like, there's a crazy list of films that Brave beat out to Best Animated Picture.
Right. I had a thought while we were doing this, right? And this is one for future. We could do a mammoth one of these for the Disney animated, like what they refer to as the classics.
Yeah.
Which we're now on about 60.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I've seen all of them, but I think, you know, between us we might be able to patch that together.
Or we could have a category below fail just by default to say we've not watched it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
because I think there will be enough crossover for films that we've not watched, where it's like, you know, like Los Amigos Saludos.
Yeah,
Los Amigos Caballeros and stuff like that. And it's like, I've not watched it, and I'm not about to watch it just for a podcast, especially when we've got 60 bloody films to get through.
No, this is it. Yeah. So next half term, yeah.
When Holly is trying to juggle her incredibly sickly child because of whatever she was smoking to put Incredibles into.
God's sake, man.
Hey,
that's the day off she can have. Right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much for listening on the podcast feed. If you want to help support the podcast, come and follow me on Twitter at Adam Farrand and at Farrand on Film. He's at Ollie J Ball. He's more of a lurker or a troll than anything else on Twitter.
I just pop up every now and then with a GIF or a comment.
Yeah. Head over to our sponsor, Apple Tees. Use the code Farrand. That's FARRAND. 15% off your order. Stay safe, look after each other, and we will see you next time.
Bye.